Hey guys, so it's a blustery day, so I'm kind of driven into the studio here, and to be honest, I haven't gotten much done. I did sand frames for a little while, and but it's just kind of one of those days, a slow day. But it got me thinking about when I was a kid back east in New Jersey, when I was in like elementary school. When the weather was bad, we couldn't go outside for lunch, so we were driven into the gymnasium, and they used to have this big, like, sort of heavy vinyl curtain that they would drag right. It would divide the gymnasium in half, and on one side the kids would play basketball and whatever, and then on the other side they would show films, and they had like a 16mm projector, and they would show various films, and there were like several of them that were very obscure, strange movies. Well, not strange, but just left a real a mark on my memory. Like I'll never forget these movies. And I often, like later on, I wondered, like, wow, what were those called? And now the internet's here, so I looked them up. I've linked them all below in the description, so you can check them out if you're interested. Some of you may remember these movies yourselves. You may have seen them. But anyway, the first movie that comes to mind was called Winter of the Witch, and it's from 1968. It's about a mother a mother and her son. I get the idea, she's divorced. They live in the city, and they want to get out of the city and move to the country, which seemed to be a theme back in the late 60s and early 70s, this whole idea that the world has gone crazy and urban life is just overwhelming. And so I seem to remember that as a little kid, that there was that whole, maybe it was an extension of the hippie movement or whatever. But in any case, so this mom and her son they go out to the country, and they get this really amazing deal on this big mansion. They pay $400 for this thing. And the reason is because they don't realize it, but it's haunted, and it's haunted by a witch. In any case, so the boy moves in, or they move into the house, and it's all covered with cobwebs, and it's all run down and whatever. And yes, and they do find that there is a witch living there. And the actress who plays the witch is excellent. She's really good. And it's kind of even scary at one point when they first meet her and she's coming down the stairs. I won't give away too much in case you want to watch it. But it was kind of an interesting thing. And then at one point, the witch, she makes these pancakes. And when you eat these pancakes, all of a sudden you will see flashes of color, and then you just are as happy as you've ever been in your life. It's like these happiness pancakes. I don't know what the message of this movie is. I really don't, but I'd have to watch it again. Anyway, the version that I've linked to is the best I could find. It's a little jumpy in the beginning, but it does kind of level out. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see with all of these, like, you know, I know the audience here is like, you've got some young people, some older people. Some of the older people may have seen these, and it would be interesting to see what younger people think of these, if they can actually make it through any of these films. Anyway, so that was Winter of the Witch. Remember that, I'll never forget. Oh, and then, yeah, because, you know, somebody said, oh my God, these pancakes are amazing. You should open a pancake house. And the thing I'll say about this movie that I liked was, one, they took this beat down house that was really dreary, and it was just, my favorite part was watching them just put fresh coats of paint on the walls, and you know, just the transformation from this dark, sort of gloomy house into this bright, happy, you know, place. And so that always gave me a feeling of sort of joy as a kid, just to watch that transformation. So that was Winter of the Witch from 1968. Like I said, the acting was good, even narrated by Burgess Meredith, which, you know, some of you may remember from like Rocky. Well, that's way back there too. But, you know, he was obviously a famous actor. And so it's well done. Unfortunately, like I said, the version that's on YouTube is not so great, just because it's kind of jumpy, but you can watch it and still enjoy it. The next movie that I remember they played constantly was this one called Paddle to the Sea. And this is about a boy who lives in northern Canada, and I guess the term would be Native Canadian, or, you know, because they say he's an Indian, but of course that's not correct. You know, he's Native Canadian or Native American, somewhere around Lake Superior. But he carves like a little, you know, Native American or Native Canadian in this canoe, who's like, and it's probably about a foot long. And he does a beautiful job carving this. And you get the idea, you know, the narrator, you know, talks about how the little boy has dreams of going to the sea or seeing places that he'll never see. And you get and then the little boy coughs, so you think, oh, maybe he's sick. So his idea is he's not going to be able to go on and make the journey to see the ocean because he's living up in the mountains somewhere. But his idea is that he's going to carve this canoe and it's going to go out into the world and go on a journey. So on the bottom of the canoe, he carves, paddle to the sea, please put me back into the water. I think that's what it is. So the idea is that he's going to go out, he goes out in the springtime when it begins to thaw, because he's carving this during the winter by the fireside, and he paints it very carefully and puts lead in it, you know, melts lead, pours that in there as ballast in the bottom, does a beautiful job. And then he goes out and he sets it in the snow, and as, you know, spring comes and the snow starts melting, it starts sliding down the hill, and it goes into a little rivulet, and then a creek, and then a river, and then this, pretty soon it's on this journey, and it goes on this, you know, this epic journey. And I was as I was watching this, I was thinking, wow, this was not easy to film. And it's obviously a low budget film because it was mostly like part of, I don't know, it was shown like as an educational film. There again, I'm not exactly sure what the educational value of it is. And as a kid, I mean, I liked it. I liked the craft part of it. I really identified with watching the kid carve out this beautiful canoe and paint it and everything. And that's what I was most fascinated by. And that movie's from 1966. And so I've linked that one down below. The other movie they played all the time was The Red Balloon. And this is one you guys probably have seen. And this is just from 1956, and it's about a little boy in Paris who becomes friends with this magical balloon that seems to be alive. And this movie was probably my least favorite of it. It was because, I mean, it's beautifully shot, and there's not a lot of dialogue in it, but it's well shot, very well filmed, and it's interesting artistically looking at it now because everything is totally gray and sort of gloomy, and which I don't picture Paris that way at all. I mean, I've only been there once, and only for like 48 hours, but obviously it's a beautiful city. But it seemed very, very gray, and then this balloon was just this bright red balloon. So artistically, it's really an interesting sort of image. The story there too, I'm not sure the symbolism of that story. I'd have to watch that one and analyze it. But that one to me was, you know, this boy befriends this balloon that follows him around and everything, and you watch how the other kids become jealous and they want to destroy his friendship with this balloon. That's all I'll say, because you may want to watch it. But that movie for me was always like, it was really upsetting for me as a kid. It just, because even though the balloon, there's some interesting photography where they make the balloon actually seem like it has personality. I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, it is a living thing. And, you know, just to have this living thing that befriends this boy, you know, having it hunted by this pack of savage kids, you know, is definitely kind of a sad thing. So anyway, that is the third movie. And they would play these all the time. Like, so I saw them a bunch as I was a kid. And it was something that was, you know, like every winter we'd see these movies over and over again. And so it was, you know, then I'd forgotten all about them. And then maybe a couple years ago, I thought, wow, you know, those movies, like I you know, have vivid memories of them, and I was like, wonder if I could find them on YouTube, and turns out I did find them. So yeah, so you can check them out and let me know what you think. Like I say, some of you who are older may have seen them before, but those were the three they played all the time. They also played Roadrunner cartoons. I don't know why, that was the only cartoon they played, but Roadrunner to me was always depressing because I felt like the coyote worked so hard, you know, to try to catch the Roadrunner, and, you know, it was always failure. He failed every time. I was like, God, could he just catch him once, you know? Not that I'd want to see the Roadrunner you know, attacked or whatever. It was more the moral of the story was, here's this guy's working hard, and he's being creative in how he's going to capture the Roadrunner, and it always ends in like him falling off a cliff, you know, 1,000-foot cliff, or having some big slab of stone drop on him and crush him, or, you know, and he's always buying things from like Acme, you know, so he'll buy like this Acme explosive, and of course it just blows up and blows his hair off or something. Anyway, so, but the 3 other movies were ones that, yeah, that they showed a lot, those first 3. And so the one last, here's a bonus movie. This would have fit right in along with those. I saw it a little later. It was filmed in 1968, and it's called Alone in the Wilderness. And it's about a guy named Dick Proenneke, and he went out into the Canadian wilderness by himself, built this cabin, and lived out there. I think he lived out there for, I'm not sure. I know he went through the winter out there, which is no easy task. You know, completely miles and miles from everyone. And covered in ice and snow and all that. But the thing I find fascinating about Alone in the Wilderness is it's kind of done vlog style. He was out there with a 16mm camera. He filmed himself, because obviously he was alone. He filmed himself making this cabin. And the only version that's available on YouTube is kind of a condensed version. If you can find the full version, it's fascinating. Like I said, it was 1968. He was 51 years old, and he decided, you know what? I want to try this. I want to go live in the wilderness. And this guy had mad skills. I mean, when it comes to carpentry, I mean, I do carpentry and everything. This guy's using like hand tools, and anything he needs, he builds it. A table, a gate. But his cabin, just watching him build the cabin, and you'll see that in the short version that's on YouTube that I've linked below. It's fascinating to watch him and his craftsmanship, and he's also a good filmmaker, and he narrates it himself. It's if you could see the full thing of Alone in the Wilderness, definitely check it out. I know it used to be on PBS, somebody said occasionally, but I never saw it there. But I saw it because some friend had a CD of it, or yeah, a DVD or something of it, and said, "Oh, Mike, you might want to check this out." And that was many years ago, and I was like, wow, this is right up my alley. So anyway, I know this is kind of unusual, but you know, Sundays for me when I was a kid, also I used to always watch. We didn't watch much TV during the week, but like Sunday evenings, we were allowed to watch a couple programs, and we'd watch like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, which was like a half-hour program about, you know, like going out into Africa, into the plains of Africa, and like, you know, studying different animals and all that, and following them around. And I always thought that was kind of fascinating. But then after that would be the Wonderful World of Disney or something, and then there'd be like an hour Disney program, and it would be like a movie or something. And I remember really enjoying that. So anyhow, all this windy sort of weather has driven me inside. I'm thinking about like stuff I used to watch as a kid, and just thought I'd share that with you. Maybe you've seen some of them. If you're young, you could, you know, and you haven't even heard of these, maybe you can check them out, see if you can get through them, and if you get anything out of it, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Anyhow, hopefully this weather's gonna lift and I'll be able to get out there and paint again. In the meantime, I'm just gonna be doing stuff here around the studio, but anyway, I just thought I'd check in and, you know, share some of these movies with you. So that's it. Have a great Sunday evening, and I will see you in the next video.